and I'll start first. Begin and end on time.
Stay actively engaged.
Assume goodwill.
Be respectful of others' ideas and opinions.
Seek and share wisdom.
Okay, so I don't know what to say about the welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcoming the
Yes.
team.
Let me just say something about that really fast. I'd like to welcome everybody to our first, official teacher rotation facilitation in our. See, it's a whole lot of big words, right? In our content PLCs, right? There are some teachers who, when we asked or said that this is something that we want to do, step right up, and Ms. Person was one of those people who stepped right up. There's always a certain level of trepidation that you may feel because of just the anxiety of doing something for the first time. But this really, to me, sparks a real beginning in our whole team thing, and it's an us deal situation and that mentality. So I appreciate the fact that you stepped up and you're willing to do that, and you're willing to just, block out all of the anxieties that might come along with that and say and putting it on the line for the we and not just the me. So that's a big thing. So
Let's give her a round of applause.
Okay, I don't know about the no anxiety part. I'm gonna try to, because I can speak and give my opinion about things, but it's different having to do this.
Absolutely.
You want us to pretend like we're middle school kids?
Can
or
you
what?
please, so I can raise my voice at you and all
Yes.
that stuff? Okay, so I guess we'll get started with joys and celebrations.
For me, this is a celebration. I've already thrown it out there. I'm very joyous about that. And I'm happy about the fact that I received my thing that I needed to look over last night for GCTM. Before I pushed, like they usually gave me an hour. Last year I said, let me try to see if I can get an hour and a half. First of all, I got to get proposals accepted, but I boldly asked for an hour and a half, so they gave it to me. This year, they're having me present my session on both days. So I'm
Woo!
wow.
Good job.
That's awesome.
pretty cool deal. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else?
I'm enjoying my tutoring kids.
Mm-hmm.
They really, the ones that don't do in class do better one-on-one and building those relationships. And it's really rewarding.
I was gonna add to that. My joy is just my kids. Like I just, they're just. I love my kids. They're just amazing kids. Like they try, and they try to meet your expectations. They try to. I've had kids coming in for tutoring. Like it's just been, I have the ones that challenge me, but overall, it's just been the kids are great.
And I have two other quick.
Well, before you jump in, I was going to
Go
say,
ahead, go ahead.
I'm excited because the admin team had a chance to go around and we picked some teachers anonymously to calibrate our walkthroughs, which we had the opportunity to do last year. And we were able to pick a 6th grade teacher in the classroom and go visit them. And I think what I love seeing is just how much sharing is going on. So you can go to everybody's room and see so much consistency across the board. And I can tell where y'all are using those best practices to support one another. As you strengthen, not only your TEKS evaluation, but overall the climate and culture in your classroom. So just kudos to you guys for just creating that culture of sharing and being open-minded enough to know how to, adjust your practices so that you can run a smoother classroom and see the data results that you want. So kudos to you guys.
And kudos to Mr. Jackson.
Yes, Mr. Jackson, we heard about you. Round of applause for that quizzes. Why do you look shocked, Mr. Jackson?
Today, I ain't seen that yet today.
It's okay. No.
And in the spirit of PLCs in general, that's really what it's about. Everybody has their own individual strengths, but collectively, when that comes together, that strengthens our team. When people, bring in whatever it is that they're strong in their particular areas, it helps strengthen us as a unit. So that was actually going to be one of my celebrations to say Mr. Jackson sharing. That was very awesome. The other one was, I think I missed the meeting when perhaps you guys said something about Ms. Foster being the first teacher
Of the month, yes.
Right, so let's give her some love.
Yay! She went viral on Twitter.
If I could just add one thing from our transition this morning.
Yes.
There was a substitute in the hallway, and she mentioned a couple of other middle schools around here, and she goes, they need to do this at the other schools. You guys are on it. You are making this happen. Y'all make this look really good. So I just wanted to share that because that's somebody from the outside that has experiences in other middle schools that we're saying, you guys got this. And I thought that was really good.
All right. Our 2 minutes are up.
Okay, so we'll move to data analysis. So is there anyone that has data to share? I mean, I do have a little something to share. And I don't need to go first, but I guess I should go first. Okay. Thanks to Mr. Jackson, that's why I had to give him kudos. He helped me with quizzes. Like after he showed it, he did a brief demonstration. I'm not a techie, so he had to come back and kind of say, look, blah, 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 blah. So he showed me, and I used it to give my kids a quick assessment, like literally right before we got into the lesson. And those reports were like, boom, like those reports were just coming in. And surprisingly, many of my kids didn't know the lesson that was coming up, but yet I would hear, oh, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, and all that. So certain students that I assumed that they were going to do well, when I got those quick results back in quizzes, I was like, oh no, we can't skip this lesson. Like we have to, we can't even skim it. Like we need to. So I don't have any actual, I can pull up the reports, but I think my highest was 70%. And this was on the algorithm for dividing fractions.
And this is after you worked on it for a little bit?
Oh, no. I gave this like the pre.
Okay, so you just
So because there were
going
so
into
many kids, we've been working on multiplication to kind of get them
Gotcha,
ready.
gotcha.
Like that's been their warm up.
Okay.
And so a lot of kids, oh, I know how to do division, like we were doing the area modeling.
Right.
Oh, but they kept trying to do the algorithm.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know how to do the algorithm. Okay. So my expectation was, okay, we're going to run right through this.
Right.
But when I saw those quick results from that, the highest was a 70%.
It'd be interesting to see after you taught it a little bit.
Yes.
Whether it be, you're gonna give the same assessment?
Tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
See that. That's awesome.
So anyone else share?
No, I'm just gonna piggyback on that because lots of times the kids are like, oh, we did this last year, and just because they recognize it doesn't mean that they understand. They're not proficient at it. They're not even developing yet. But yeah, it's good they recognize it, but that's what they're keying off of. They don't have that depth of knowledge.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll compare data analysis.
Did we get that, Jenny?
Yes.
It's behind you.
And then Ms. Foster is actually taking attention.
So you won't have to sign him.
I didn't get a.
Okay, let me send it.
Ooh, while we got a break, anybody need copies of the Unit 2 frameworks? I printed an extra copy. Save a tree, anybody?
Oh, wow.
Would you pass that over to Mr. Dixon? And it's hole punched.
Okay, I'm sending this.
It's a setting on the copier. I can't take this too much credit.
Okay, so no one else would like to share their data?
All of my data for the Unit 2 pretest. Block 2 was 48%, and then Block 3 was 46%. So I know this unit, I'm gonna have to dig deep because they scored really well in Unit 1, but Unit 2, I didn't even get to Block 4. I got tired of scanning, so. But that's my data for second and third.
What trends are you noticing with the data? What standard are they struggling with the most?
The standard, well, basically, they really didn't know what a ratio was. And then unit rate, that was like, huh? I don't know this. I'm like, try your best. So after I went over the ratios yesterday, like, what is a ratio? It's like, oh, that's all it was? Like, yeah. So, but yeah, that's the data that's my pretest data.
There were 3 teachers in the last set of minutes who were still in Unit 1. How far are we from giving the post-assessment at this
I'm
point?
getting mine Friday.
Okay.
So they're actually doing a review this weekend, as Ms. Person said, I'm the techie guy. So I actually employed Quizlet to give them a functionality where they'll be able to play games and do different stuff, and the questions for the study guide that I created are on there with the answers. So all they have to do is kind of go in and match and still do the work, but they also have a physical copy that they worked on yesterday. So I'm gonna do that, and then when Thursday, I call it Game Thursday, because Quizlet has a Quizlet Live, so I'm gonna put it up on a board, and they're gonna compete against each other for the whole class, and just see if they can score it and show their work and all that particular stuff. And maybe Kahoot or something else after that I'll create to drive it home. But they're pretty much ready. Their data wasn't that good from their pretest, knowing in either class the average was about a 38, 39, something around there. And most of it came from the fact that a lot of them do not like fractions, decimals, or division. So you have it all in one unit, so it's a huge problem. So I've been working on letting them figure out how to move the decimals, how division's the opposite of multiplication, and setting them up to where they understand how to line up long division and stuff like that, and recognizing whether you want, is it a remainder or is it a fraction? So all of that wonderful stuff I've been drilling them on.
So you'll be giving your assessment Friday. What about you, Ms.
Yes.
Person?
Next Friday.
You need a whole nother
The
week.
29th, yes, ma'am.
What's your rationale?
Because we haven't started decimals yet.
Okay.
So we have to, that's gonna be a week devoted to decimals. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing.
And I think the other one was it was Miss Hanson? Okay.
Same thing, as far as need a few more days doing the 4 operations on decimals right now and estimating products. So I'm hoping that Monday that, we'll have enough warm-ups and working collaborative work and stuff. Because they still are not great on the GCF, so those are their warm-ups. But, you have to, fish or cut bait at some time. So I'm looking at those ways to kind of backfill that skill. But the decimals now is a big thing.
Okay.
We're on it.
So
We
it's
started
gonna be
multiplying yesterday, and that was a whole number by a decimal yesterday, and then we'll get, talked about decimal factor, decimal by decimal multiplication, and then move into the division.
Excellent. How far are you in the unit 2, Mr. Persons?
I'm taking my post-test Thursday.
You're moving right along. Yeah,
Post-test
he was a little ahead. Mr. Lakes, how are your kids doing in unit 1?
Not doing well.
They're just not doing well. They're struggling.
Struggle with this basic, for basic operations, so it's hard to move anywhere if you can't do simple basic operations.
Doesn't.
For that reason, then
Uh-huh.
they have no concept of which operation to use when they read the problems. So
And I don't think we identified a strategy the week before last week to help them understand what operation they need to pick, because again, as we're going to the more literacy-based approach to questions for a SEC's child, that can be very difficult for them to even pick out the right operation. Does anybody have any suggestions or strategies for that?
stress certain words
Uh-huh.
within, like it as for total.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, throughout my vocabulary.
Do they have like a poster that they can refer to on the desk or in the room on the wall? Because I know sometimes it's the memory, the recap portion, them being able to hold it.
I think I might have something
Yeah,
with that.
I know.
I have some words like and times and all that. You got something already, that's cool.
No, but I mean, I have a poster. I'm not using
You have a poster?
it. Yeah, I have a poster that has.
All the words.
Yeah, it has. I'll bring it to them.
And I mean, in the elementary classroom, it seemed to be such like pulling teeth, but they were really big on us using them.
So I have something to share, and it's
Oh.
punch. They can
Oh.
put it in there.
Awesome.
There, that way they can keep it in their binder. Or
And then as
If
they
they can
come
keep
across, Yeah, and if you look at the bottom, when they're reading word problems or real life application, as they come across words that are not in the box,
They put what
they're
they
going
mean.
ahead and add it at the bottom.
I like that. Thank you for
And I think
sharing.
what also might be helpful, Ms. Lake, and I probably somebody want to show them how to use it, the multiplication tables and the hundreds chart.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, a hundreds chart I found to be helpful for the kids with addition and subtraction once they understand how to use it, as well as manipulating the multiplication table by moving their fingers around. And then hopefully, you know, using that kinetic skill will help, you know, with that vision and then feed into their memory at some point. And one of the things that we have to consider with respect to where we are, our reality is our reality. It is what it is. But at the same time, we know where we're trying to get to at the end, so we want to keep the end in mind. So if we know it took a little bit longer on one particular unit, then we have to look at where we can streamline as we move forward in terms of like maybe combining skills and concepts together and not spending too much time on one independent skill, but making sure that we're combining that with understanding the concept. So we say, okay, well, this, you know, the first unit is always a little bit longer just because waking the kids back up for school and all that. But as we move into that next unit, we want to make sure that we're maintaining, you know, using the warm-ups and stuff to maintain those skills as we move forward. And that's how you cut down on some of that time. So we want to be kind of intentional about where we're gaining the extra time, so to speak, or where we're catching up. So if we say, when we look at that pacing guide, the one that we had from the summer, all right, so if we're a week and a half off or 2 weeks off or whatever, it's not like you could really just get 10 days back, but how can I get 2-3 days here? How can I get 2-3 days on the next unit? And then eventually we'll kind of be where it is that we need to be.
And I think everybody's kind of ahead on the pacing guide. Because I think on the pacing guide, we're not due to actually test until next week.
That's good.
Oh, so that works out. Because I was saying, ideally, I don't think we should go past September in Unit 1. It just depends on the data.
I have to look at
Yeah,
it, but
we might be
pretty
able to
much, yeah, because we figure, well, you know, not necessarily starting on the very first day, but if we go to next week, then that means that we have 2 weeks in August and then 4 weeks in September. So,
Yeah.
you know,
We
that's
lost
5 to
3
6
days.
weeks. Yeah, and then, you know.
But y'all
that's
also,
the best.
what that calendar might not have anticipated, and I'm pretty sure it did, is that October 6th district date. And then you have that Columbus Day, so you're losing a whole 4-day weekend. And then in November and December, you have an additional day you lose from the RFF dates that we put in from School Governance Council, and those are on Fridays. So those might not be in the pacing guide
They were placed in there
They were.
for AZ days.
They were.
So-
for AZ, but
Right.
you know,
but
we
it's
got
the same,
different,
that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. It might not be the same
The
day,
actual date.
but it's actually accounted for.
Yeah.
in there.
Okay.
And holidays.
And yeah, and any potential weather days we have. This weather is a little weird this year, so I anticipate. Usually, when we start out like this, I anticipate the rest of the year kind of being funky. I think we had a good year last year when it came to weather, but the year is starting off weird, so I anticipate a weird winter. Yeah. All right, Miss Person.
Okay, so instructional strategy of the week. Anyone like to share maybe a strategy this week that they've used, or maybe last week, a couple days over here?
For these decimals.
I'm thinking, we're not.
Doesn't need to be.
I use money.
Ooh, I felt that. Oh, I felt
I
that.
did too.
My spirit
My
was like, oh.
So twice got the case.
I'll get ready to say that.
My foot kind of caught it, so. Yes, decimals would be great, going into decimals as someone that's about to go into it.
I use money.
Yeah.
Money.
I use money, and since I have a background in finance, I use some stuff on it because the stock numbers carry over a couple decimal points, surrounding up, letting them know, you know, the placing of it, and I actually brought up a picture on the board of the place values, so they'll know exactly, because a lot of them, they thought that the decimal started with, you know, 1 instead of tenths. So just getting them to recognize that, and just, I was like, hey, if you don't know, just simply